Hello friends, it's Cindy Brumbaugh from CindyLeeBDesigns.com, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I have a cutie for you that was inspired by Jennifer McGuire's surprise gatefold. I think I'm going to call it for myself a pull open gatefold. So simple to make. I'm using this adorable gnome for the holidays stamp set by Stampin' Up! And that is found in the August through December 2020 mini catalog, still known by many of us as the Holiday Mini. So I am going to show you how super easy this is to make. The most time-consuming part is just taking the time to color your cute little images of the gnomes and the little gnome home. So here we go. We've got the stamp set, and then I'm using on it, I pulled out my plaid tidings 6x6 designer series paper, 48 pieces of plaids papers, and you've got a couple of the Christmas colors, but it's really a versatile set. I'm seeing some masculine cards. I'm seeing a lot of fall cards with the purples and the peacock and the browns and the oranges and the bright yellows with the curries. So this is going to be a really great paper that's going to carry over. But since I was doing a holiday card, on this one I used Crumb Cake as my card base and just pulled the colors Whisper White and Shaded Spruce and Cherry Cobbler out. Now on this one I still decided this is a Christmas card, and I'm going to be doing Shaded Spruce, Cherry Cobbler, and this one color, this one paper in here that looks like I pulled this here, that is in there, and it's Christmas on this side and maybe Halloween and fall on the other side. So let's just put this aside. Now I already did my coloring because that takes a little bit of time. So let's just look and see how to put this card together. It's just a half sheet of cardstock that's 11 inches by 4 1/4, and then you're just going to score it in 2 3/4 on each side so that it meets in the middle. So this is 5 1/2, and half of that is 2 3/4. So I found it easier than remembering 2 3/4 and adding on another one on your trimmer. Just put it into your trimmer and score down 2 3/4. Turn it again, 2 3/4, and there you've got your gatefold in a landscape position. So then all you have to do is think about a 1/8 inch border on each one of your gatefolds, and that left me with a Cherry Cobbler base border here that's going to go around my designer series paper. Oh, I want to grab my Stampin' Seal so I can get this on here. So I'm going to bring this in. So this is going to be 2 1/2 by 4. So 2 1/2 by 4. Now I have all these measurements on my blog, and underneath the YouTube video, you will see visit my blog, and there's a link. Just press that link. You're taken right over to CindyLeeBDesigns.com, where I'll have additional photos and any tips that I want you to see over there. And if you grab a cup of coffee, you can just take a little stroll down my blog posts. So we're going to put these two Cherry Cobbler pieces here, and we're going to pop it onto the Shaded Spruce here, and then we're going to put our designer series paper also on there. So here we go. And the designer series paper, like I said the other day, you almost need a nice firm surface when you're with your Stampin' Seal. Like I'm finding that once I get going, I'm on a roll there. So this paper is going to be 2 1/4 by 3 3/4, because I'm just going in a 1/8 border around all 4 sides. And like I said, with the designer series paper, you just look on the back, see all the colors that are in it, and then you have got already the designing part of your card done. So there's your gatefold, super simple. And then inside the card on this one, I just put the little girl gnome and said holly jolly everything that's in the stamp set. But on this card, I used the other cute little gnome there, and this little gnome with the carrying the ornament is so cute. And so I just pulled the colors out, as you can see, the white and the Shaded Spruce. And then on this one I used dark crumb cake. And then the perfect shade for the face is the light petal pink. Light petal pink is perfect for flesh tone. So I just put that one on there, and oh, I got a little bit of work on there. I'm gonna have to figure out how to cover that. So we're just gonna pop that into the inside of our card, and that's a 4" by 5 1/4, because that space in there is actually 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So we're just 5 1/4 by 4, and that's the inside. Now we're just gonna work on our little mechanism here. As you can see, this gatefold, these are attached here, but for you to be able to pull them up, what I did is I just put a circle under there. It's attractive, it matches this color, it matches the designer series paper. And on this side, I did the same thing, except for, you know what, I changed up my colors and this is real red. So we won't make that same little thing on here. So let's just look at the front. Okay, I used my layering squares dies. I used 3 different sizes for it. I used the largest of the 3 that I picked, and I'll have these measurements on my blog and on the description. So I used the large one for the cherry cobbler, and then the next one down for the whisper white. On the inside of the card, I wanted it a little smaller, so this shaded spruce is the same rectangle as the whisper white here, and then this whisper white is one smaller, but I will have those measurements. So let's just take a look at our pretty colored images here. So for the outside, cherry cobbler for my border around the first image that's on the front of the card, the cute little house, the little gnome home. And I just used the colors in the paper, and you can see some of the white peeking in, so white worked really well with that. So I just used let's see here. We used dark smoky slate for these little pebbles here. We used shaded spruce for our grass there. I used the dark crumb cake for the house, and then the door is done with soft suede, the light soft suede. Then I just used some dark daffodil delight for some light shining inside the door. And then for our little bulbs, I just used dark daffodil, light cherry cobbler, or dark, let's see. Dark cherry cobbler, and then dark balmy blue. Oh, light balmy blue, dark balmy blue. Okay, so I just used those colors there on my house. So then to get this onto your card, all I did was take a circle punch. Now this just happens to be a 1 3/8 circle punch, but it could be, you know, any size, but you want it to be at least big enough, and just pop it out from your, and I found this really easy to do because then all I had to do is fold over my circle and then take my bone folder. Look at, aren't you proud of me? My bone folder was all handy. So I just put just made, you know, score line, and then I'm going to put some adhesive here. Now this would have been a great time for me to have out my permanent adhesive here. But I'm just gonna put a little bit of my tear and tape. It's always handy on my table. I haven't opened up my stronger Stampin' Seal yet, so I need to do that. So then I'm just gonna pop off this protective covering here using my Take Your Pick tool, little paper piercing side. Get under there. Ta-da! Come on there, little guy. Cooperate. Okay. There we go. Get my fingernail under it. Okay, so then all we're going to do is put this with the folded side against the one side of the front of the left side of the card. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to do it this way, but line it up right in the middle, right along the card base, not the designer paper, not the border, but the card base. So right flush with the card base, and that's going to be there. Now the next one that we're going to be putting on will be the garden green. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take some of our scrap of, oh, it's not garden green, it's some shaded spruce. Pop out that circle. Just fold it in half. Burnish it with your bone folder. And then we're going to put some tear and tape. You just want to make sure that you're using something sturdy since you're going to be pulling open that card. And let me see, I'm going to pull this off, and then I'm going to put another little piece on here, and this will make it stay on there nicely. and put another little piece of tear and tape on there. And then when they're pulling open the card, that's going to stay nice and adhered. And then you're going to do the same thing, and this is easy too, because you're just going to line up your circles right up against each other, making sure that you're flush with the card base. So there we go. Those are going to be the two pieces that keep our images that are bordered on the cardstock up from each other. So we can go ahead and put our house on. Where's my Stampin' seal? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to put that stamp. No, actually, I'm not going to put the Stampin' seal. I'm going to still use my tear and tape, which is right in front of me, kids. Okay, so I'm going to put that right. I'm going to open this up here. Put that right on my circles. Put it right on this circle, because this actually isn't being adhered. Like, you could make this card and adhere one to here and one to here, but then they wouldn't have had like that kind of suspended feel to it, which is really a little added bonus there. So like I said, these kind of cards have been around forever, but oldies are definitely goodies. So then we're just gonna put this in the middle of the card, getting on my tippy toes and getting it centered on the front of my card. And there is our first pull. And then we're going to do the little guy in the inside. And I used the same colors for him. I used the dark crumb cake for his beard, the light petal pink for his flesh, and then the dark smoky slate, and the dark daffodil, and the dark cherry cobbler. So I could use all these same colors pulling out, and I like that little pop of the balmy blue on the light bulbs on the front there. So then that's our next one, and we're just going to pop that on here. You can do both of these squares or whatever shape you use, an oval, a flower, whatever. You can use the same size. It's just a little harder to line them up. So I just chose to go with one just a little bit smaller. And then the trick to doing this one is turn him upside down and put him so he is centered in the cherry cobbler. And the way to know that is that I see the same amount of cherry cobbler around there. Then I'm just going to close up my card, and it's going to hit right, keeping it right in the middle of the cherry cobbler. So there we go. We've got our little guy there. Get him burnished in there. So there is our pull open surprise. Got all kinds of paper scraps there. Okay, so there were a few things that I did to jazz up the front of the card. Number one was I added this cute little sentiment here. There's no place like gnome for the Christmas season. So isn't that cute? I used my new banner punch, which I can't get my hands on right now, that's coming in the new catalog. I used that on the two ends there. And then what I did is I jazzed up the tops of the light bulbs with some of our smallest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, our smallest little rhinestones. Now I'm going to pull these out here. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to do a little snip because I still have some of my, I always find these laying around everywhere. I still have some of the older packs of the rhinestones that had these little guys that are all connected. And so I, can't find my rhinestones. Then I look in a box, I find some rhinestones. Then I go back and I'll say, where's my rhinestones? And then I find another pack hidden somewhere. So I'm really trying to keep them all in one place for now. So you just go and you put a couple of those little, I could have been a little better at snipping the glue off of these. There we go. And pop that little guy on there and just put it right up above the colored part. And it just gives a cute little bonus on there because it's kind of like the, it's pretty colored, but it's a little flat. So I just added on those little rhinestones there. I didn't put one on this guy right here. So I think what I did with that is I just popped in a little bit of light smoky slate there just to make it look like it's part of it. So the other thing I did is I opened up my snowfall accents, and I should have done this first. Oh, we're going to take a little, we're going to do it now on the card. So this is very liquid. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see it rolling around here in the thing. It's almost like milk. So you're just going to put a little bit of it right along the edge. You can see it's very watery. So be very careful with it. It's almost hard to see. Let me see. I can see it. Then you take your heat gun. We'll get this all heated up. Normally I wouldn't have done this on the end of the card, but I forgot to put it on, but it's a great accent there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take our heat gun to the snow that's on there. And it'll, when it dries, it puffs up. See, as it's puffing up, I hope you can see that. It's getting a little glossy, and now it's getting more matte. And look at the snow on there. Isn't that adorable? This is really cool. I thought I would, I needed 3 hands there. I thought that I would end up messing it up or something, burning it or something, but it really was very easy to get that puffy effect there. So that actually, you know, jazzed it up like it's Christmas time, and there's a little bit of snow there peeking through. So those snowfall accents puff paint is really fun to play with. So we've got that on there, and let's just put on our sentiment. So I'm just going to put that sentiment on with some Stampin' Seal here. Seal. Okay. I always get sill and seal the way we kind of just like quickly say that word, and I always think when I say something like Stampin' Seal and I think of a seal, or like, oh, my window seal, it's a window sill. I always think of a seal like sitting on the window. So there we go, Stampin' Seal. So that is how easy it is to make that pull open gatefold. Has a little surprise there, as Jennifer said. Pull open gatefold. Just make your landscape gatefold like you would, but then when you go to put your fronts on, your front 2 focal images, just use a circle on the back of it as the attaching, and that way it lifts up off the back of your card, and you can open it up that way. If you have any questions, you can go to my blog, cindyleedesigns.com. You'll find additional photos and information there. Subscribe to my blog. I like to post about 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and any other important days of catalog launches or Stampin' Up! Promotions. Wednesday is my usual video day, so also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you can be notified each time I put a video up. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for buzzing by, friends.